Rain and chilly temperatures, not exactly the perfect ingredients for a spring day across the southern U.S. We'll see why today's gloom could lead to more wintry doom in the Northeast tomorrow.
The fascinating tornado, often deadly and destructive, and now easier to forecast. We'll meet the people responsible for these improved forecasts next on WeatherScope.
For a scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else, this is WeatherScope Tonight.
It's been a soggy day across parts of the country, and particularly the south. Good evening, I'm Mike Bono.
And I'm Sharon Resulton. While rain-dominated, precipitation of a more wintry kind was also present in places. Texans already are finding out what can happen when cold air and rain mix. And this was the scene on many roadways early this morning in Abilene. It was freezing rain and icy roads, causing the very dangerous driving conditions.
Meanwhile, just a few miles east in Dallas, rain was the downer of the day. Showers dominated, but thunderstorms did move in during the afternoon hours. Wet streets made the evening rush hour a little messy. However, the rain will be clearing out overnight.
And Atlanta was also in line for a damp, raw day today. The conditions, however, did not slow down construction crews getting ready for the Summer Olympics. Gusty winds and temperatures in the low 50s added to the miserable conditions. Will the South ever see springtime sun? That was what I was thinking this morning as I was getting up, looking at the clouds out there in the southeast. It's going to be a wet spell for that part of the country. That's just something we'll have to get used to. A deepening low in the Gulf of Mexico and abundant tropical moisture feeding in ahead of that low is going to spell out some rather wet conditions for much of the southeast. To help things along, an upper air disturbance is slipping off to the east. And the general steering of this low is generally going to take it right on up into the northeast, or it's going to push it north and eastward, so that will spread all that heavy moisture, working it on into perhaps parts of North Georgia, stretching through the Appalachians, and maybe on into the mid-Atlantic, the potential for some heavy rains. Right now, the general rain pattern across the southeast looks like this, and we'll find some of the moisture now stretching into Kentucky and southern portions of Virginia. Actually, a little bit of snow or snow grains mixing in occasionally around Abilene. It's all rain at the time, but just last hour, some of that snow mixing on in. We showed you the video from Abilene. Rainy travel around Dallas and rainy travel also as we head on into Atlanta, Georgia. Here's a look at the area of low pressure. Remember the counterclockwise flow around the low, so we're drawing the moisture on up ahead of it, and that's why when you look at these radars, you'll see everything kind of coming up from the south and moving up into the north. See, now watch. There it goes. Moving from Montgomery on up toward Birmingham, Alabama, and stretching on up toward Huntsville. The darker greens and the yellows indicating where we have some heavier rains in progress at this time. And it's not just all rain. In some spots we have some thunderstorms and some pretty strong ones. Earlier, some stronger thunderstorms just south of Jacksonville. Now we're looking at this line here, quite possibly producing some strong winds and definitely some significant rains as they push on in from Cedar Key all the way back down towards Spring Hill and Tampa Bay and Sarasota, getting rocked with some of the wind and some heavier rains as those thunderstorms stretch on along Interstate 4 and work their way across Interstate 75. And then we'll go back out toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Some of the heavier rains now well to the north and east of Dallas across the Red River. And stretching on up toward Oklahoma City. Looks like some of the southern and eastern suburbs see a little moisture there. Again, Fort Worth clearing out for you. A little further out to the west around Abilene, a little snow mixing in. But it's a light rain in Dallas with some heavier rains as you head into northeastern Texas.
Meanwhile, our national map will feature high pressure, which is going to bring some very chilly below freezing weather to the north, set the stage for winter maybe again. Sharon checks that in just a minute as we look west of Abilene and find a lot of sunshine, actually warming up in New Mexico and on into Denver today, but some snow, temperatures plummeting again, high pressure over Canada bringing them down, and a good chunk of Montana. Teens, some blowing snow, kind of like deja vu all over again. Some 80s, though, in the southwest desert areas, and some 50s all the way up to Memphis. So we've got most of the cold air to the north as we're seeing easterly winds going up, rising up toward the high plains into the Rockies. That'll do it for you. Snow, even in Grangeville, Idaho, coming down kind of hard. The Cascades to Sexton Summit, not quite down to San Francisco with the rain, but Mount Shasta and even the Sierra bound to get some snow out of this. Not a big wet storm, but still it's setting the stage for more snowy weather in the Cascades, Sierra, and parts of the Rockies through 7 p.m. tomorrow.
In the meantime, as we take a look at the forecast, we're going to find things changing in the Northeast, and while it may be quiet for you right now, I'll tell you something, another headache may be in store in the form of some more wintry precipitation. First off, we have to look at the jet stream to explain why things will be changing in the northeastern part of the country. Jet stream will tend to steer our next low pressure system on up into the northeast. We'll find an area of low pressure developing along the coast. And this right here should look very familiar to you. We've had this scenario over and over again this winter with our coastal lows working their way on up the coast, pulling the moisture, drawing it in from the Atlantic, and many times that cold air has run into this, an Arctic air mass. So we've had kind of a clash of the warmer, more moist air running into this area of cold air, big dome of cold air at the surface, and that has produced unsettled weather, well, really more in the form of snowfall. And this go-around, we think we may find a mixture of precipitation into the northeast, maybe some icy conditions in some parts. And that's what we may be dealing with here in parts of southern Pennsylvania, working on into Thursday afternoon, and even maybe some snowfall in some of the valleys where at all levels of the atmosphere temperatures are cold enough to support snow. That's where you may find some snowfall. But in other words, it may get a little tricky in Pennsylvania and eventually on into New York City as we head into Thursday night and on into Friday. Otherwise, your forecast is a wet one from much of the southeast. The heaviest stuff right down here, say from Savannah back down toward Panama City. Some heavier rains, lighter snowfall amounts in the northeast, and we'll see some more significant snow, some in the mountainous areas out to the west. There again is a look at your low temperatures for Thursday, with highs on Thursday still nice around the Gulf Coast, but quite cool up to the north.
And as we go on toward this up-and-coming weekend, we notice some warming going on the plains, places that have been down below freezing, going back up again, including Texas, Abilene with mixed snow and even freezing rain. You saw that ice on the road. How about 80s possibly by Friday and close to that Saturday? The cold air kind of stays under control to the north, behaving itself by Sunday. Monday, invading the lakes and even the Appalachians as the west stays kind of mild. Well, any wintry precipitation will probably change to rain south of about northern New England. In the east, as snow comes down, maybe not a blizzard, but Wyoming, the Dakotas, withdrawing up toward Canada as a weak front, probably weak, but there will be some thunderstorms comes across. Hopefully very fast for the weekend so nobody gets foiled too badly during the weekend. Snow showers on into the northeast, and you have to go all the way to the west coast for other problems. Sharon?
In an average year, there are approximately 1